Hey, what's up, mafias? Welcome back to the commute. And in this video, I'm joined by Rishabh Sharma. He works in Gojek as a Devx Engineer. So in this video, we're going to be learning about DevOps and mobile engineering. So this will be super interesting. I hope you guys really enjoy it. And if you did, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And for now, let's get started. So usually when I start off this particular podcast, I always ask this one particular question with everyone. How do you define stable life for yourselves?
Stable life. Okay. So a stable life for me is where I am being my authentic self. Okay. My identity is not tied to the work which I do. Okay. But rather the identity of, who I am, who I was from starting as a child. Right. So like that's me. And stable life in terms of your finances are stable, as well as your health supports you, because that's what we are doing hustling for, right? Our health and our relationships, and things are going like pretty good in your life. Okay, and you are grateful for wherever you are in the journey. Okay, and you are satisfied with whatever you have, and you have some healthy goals for the future. Okay, which are realistic, and you have a strategy going forward, and a daily routine is like a must for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I define my stability and balance right now.
Yeah, I get it. Like most of the people I try to bring on podcasts, they will define it in a similar fashion. Having a good finance, having a good healthy relationship, and having good health overall. I
Yeah.
see that you might do a lot of sports from your background. I think like you do tennis and maybe badminton and maybe cycling stuff. That's what I can get. So yeah, I usually try to bring this particular stability because I try to understand what people think about themselves and what do they value. Because usually people work for something they value the most, and
Yeah.
that's what this question is for. And that you seem to play a lot of sports. Are you into a lot of sports?
So yeah, from childhood I've been into cricket a lot. I've been a fast bowler. Then I moved to wicket keeping, batting, everything I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, After that, after you set off your, after you come to the class 10th, right, and then you become serious about your studies. Uh, After that, my sports journey was kind of left off because I was like preparing for the JEE. Then I went to the college. Then again, the hustling was there, right? Because of
Mm-hmm.
placement things everybody has to go through. I do not know what the future holds for you. But I think after that journey, when I landed my first job, and even when I'm working now, I think I have that free hand, right, where I can be myself again. The things which I do, the things which I love to do, right. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I do love cycling a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
after Bangalore last year, I bought a cycle again,
Mm-hmm.
and in childhood I always wanted to do horse riding. I don't know why, but
Mm-hmm.
it used to be quite a expensive sport back then. So
Mm-hmm.
I came to Bangalore. The first thing I did, I joined a horse riding club, and
Mm-hmm.
I learned it for like 3 4 months. And it was like really great. And even now, like I make sure that I'm spending a lot of time with myself. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I also do yoga, but not I'm not very much disciplined on the day to day basis. But
Mm-hmm.
kind of weekly, I am like able to do 3 to 4 sessions. Okay,
Mhm, mhm,
running also, it's so I do not make things mandatory for me, but whenever I like, for example, this is weekend, right, and I
mhm,
sure having a couple of plans for my fitness thing.
mhm,
So I think the things with the sports, doing outdoor things, right, being with the nature,
mhm,
uh, that's what makes me feel most of myself. Okay,
mhm,
because the kind of work we do is
mhm,
mostly oriented.
mhm,
Okay, and even for our learnings, right, we need to be on the screen every time.
mhm.
I sometimes feel that life was really good when we were away from the screens,
Yeah.
when we went to the books, right? It was
Mhm,
more slow, it was more authentic, it
mhm,
was more real. You were in a space which was familiar to you.
mhm,
You just to not care about the world or what
Mhm.
is happening, where you were just content and happy with yourself.
Mhm.
So I'm also like trying to find that balance within myself by doing these activities. So eventually the goal is to make ourselves happy, and
Mhm.
that's what I'm trying for.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's the pretty idea of what stable life looks like
Yeah.
for someone who's working in that industry, and I guess that's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your story overall? When you started from, like as you said, you worked hard a lot in your engineering college, and then got into your first job. How did you come across Android development overall? How did you become like? How do you get into app industry as such? So,
Okay.
what's your story here?
So uh, I'll give you an idea overall of my engineering journey. As in,
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
So after my like 12th, right, I somehow managed to pass the JEE mains, but I
Mhm.
knew my advance wouldn't go off, so I
Mhm.
didn't give the attempt. Okay.
Mhm.
So at that time, I didn't have a like real pretty goal in my life that what do I want to do.
Mhm.
Okay, I was just part of the crowd, what everybody was doing, right? Getting into the engineering, computer science, right?
Mhm.
Which has demand in the industry. Okay,
Mhm.
likewise, it used to be for the mechanical engineering maybe 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Okay, so you know how it was like at the time of 2017 when I passed my 12th. Okay,
Mhm.
so I didn't knew anything about coding. So my journey with the computers, right? I got my first PC in 2007, which my father gifted to me,
Mhm.
and mostly my journey with it wasn't about anything geeky learning stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, I was pretty lazy at it. I didn't even wanted to install Windows and stuff by myself. I always asked my friends. My
Mhm.
most concerned thing was the games which I used to play, and that would like make me happy. So
Mhm.
after 12th, right? So I consulted some of my senior friends
Mhm.
from my town. What should I do? Even my parents, right? They both are like knowledge workers. So they guided me that computer science is the thing which is going in the market right now,
Mhm.
and the jobs are like pretty good because
Mhm.
India is a booming industry for IT right
Mhm.
now, and it
Mhm.
has. So uh, before going to my university, before my first year, I joined a local tuition center,
Mhm.
coaching institute in my local area to learn the C language, and
Mhm.
somehow I got the idea of oh, this is what coding is,
Mhm.
and then finally I thought, oh, this is what I enjoy. Okay,
Mhm.
and the journey was like pretty organic. I tried and tested a lot of it. I started with that Turbo C plus. I got a second-hand laptop. Things were like this. Then I came to the college. Okay,
Mhm.
so the journey was what's normal for like everybody. For first 2 years, you are just focused on the semester exams. Then
Mhm.
placements are coming up. Okay, then you are trying to find a niche
Mhm.
where you fit in. So coming to the app journey, so you know what happened with me. I tried and tested a lot of things.
Mhm.
So in my university, I used to study a lot. I sacrificed a lot of my things. Like I was part of the college band earlier, which I dropped
Mhm.
off because I wanted to study hard
Mhm.
and like wanted to give more time into it. So I used to spend most of time in my libraries, and my
Mhm.
initial journey with the programming started from the books. So I
Mhm.
was rather learning from the books than from the YouTube tutorials.
Mhm.
Okay, makes my foundations really strong. But
Mhm.
as with the onset of third year,
Mhm.
uh, I was thinking, okay, I need to find some space to fit in.
Mhm.
Okay, because at that time also, uh, these things started to came up, online. A lot of courses, a lot of tutorials, a lot of opinions by the tech expert.
Mhm.
AI started to come. Okay, so
Mhm.
people like that. You should be going into the AI. Full stack is dead. App
Mhm.
development is dead. Things like this. Even
Mhm.
I tried with the AI thing also.
Mhm.
I tried but I think it would require more of my time and energy.
Mhm.
uh, I couldn't give it that much before the placement season.
Mhm.
Okay. So uh, my friends used to do website development using React and things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
I tried it, but I really hated the CSS.
Mhm. I guess everybody does.
Yeah. So, but somehow, so in my college, out of the batch of 800 guys, okay,
Mhm.
maybe a couple, only two, four folks were doing the mobile app development
Mhm.
on their own, okay.
Mhm.
I'm talking about like 2018, 2019, okay.
Mhm.
So, uh, and I was like one of them. I started with the React Native
Mhm.
because it was really cool. I was able to see on the phone, things were, you are
Mhm.
coding and things are just coming onto the screen rapidly. Uh,
Mhm.
so eventually I found my niche in the app thing. I started to develop a lot of apps on
Mhm.
my own.
Mhm.
Started to watch a lot of tutorials, build side projects,
Mhm.
and when our placement season started,
Mhm.
my resume was solely based on the, you know, this
App
uh,
industry.
thing. Yeah, I didn't even have a single web project in my portfolio, and I was like really blunt with it. I don't like website. I really enjoy the mobile thing.
Mhm.
So that's where the things took off.
Mhm.
Uh, and coming about to the DSA part, right? I
Mhm.
used to do like very medium and intermediate of that, not very much deep into that because I
Mhm.
think I'm not kind of a guy, who's just doing things for the sake of doing. I
Mhm.
do it only then I do it.
Mhm.
That's why my focus was totally into the mobile thing.
Mhm.
That really helped me to build
Mhm.
my niche expertise in that.
Mhm. I get it. Like I've seen that. Like I got 2 to 3 points from your journey overall.
Hmm.
One thing is that you kind of didn't like web development, and I saw the same thing with myself, that I didn't enjoy JavaScript as much.
Mm.
And I started to go and shift from JavaScript to something else. To maybe I was thinking about game development as such, and I was doing a little bit of game development because I enjoyed games. And then I thought I got to know that games can be also for mobile and how to develop that, and you can release your own apps in mobile. And then I got to know about Kotlin and other stuff, and then I got into Android. And I think everybody is who wants to become like developer overall started off by just building something because they wanted to,
Yeah.
and that's how they started their journey. Other than that, one thing that I saw that you talked about is called like as mechanical engineering was hot, pretty hot back in like 10 years, and now it is not so hot. What do you think
Mm.
about software engineering? Like it's hot, pretty hot now because of the AI stuff. What about 10 years from now? What do you think?
Okay. So I think 10 years from now also it's gonna sustain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the job roles which we are seeing right now, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna shift. For example, earlier software engineers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about today. Let's talk about like 5 years before, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that we can compare from what has evolved
Mm-hmm.
to what can be evolved right after 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, when we came into the industry, right,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we weren't sorry, when we came into the university, right, we weren't
Mm-hmm.
demanded to be learned anything from before.
Mm-hmm.
Even the coding used to start from the second semester itself, with
Mm-hmm.
less focus on the core of the coding, right?
Mm-hmm.
But right now, if you can see what is happening,
Mm-hmm.
till students are being advised to learn it maybe beforehand. Some students are doing that too because of all this ed tech which is coming up, all of
Mm-hmm.
superficial marketing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even
Mm-hmm.
people are becoming more aware because of the internet, that
Mm-hmm.
this is the thing where the money is right now. uh,
Mm-hmm.
so right now the students are like getting more equipped. And
Mm-hmm.
when I think what we were at our third year, fourth year, right, but the
Mm-hmm.
students of this age, right,
Mm-hmm.
their third, fourth year is like they are like more knowledgeable than us, what we used to be.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
100%.
So they know about AI also. They know about how to use the AI agents as well.
Mm-hmm.
us it was like really clear
Mhm.
path.
Mhm.
DS check, that's it.
Mhm.
Cloud if you want to do otherwise on your
Mhm.
own device. Otherwise there wasn't any subject of it in our
Mhm.
curriculum. But right
Mhm.
now we are being taught a lot of things, and I
Mhm.
think this is gonna evolve after
Mhm.
10 years.
Mhm.
Okay, since I think a lot of low level work.
Mhm.
When I say low level work, I means like coding
Mhm.
stuff. Right? That is gonna be replaced by the AI,
Mhm.
but still a human will be needed, right,
Mhm.
for guiding the AI to extract the outputs from the AI and
Mhm.
to relatable stuff. Because at the end, AI will be like
Mhm.
our tool, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So after 10 years, a software industries is still gonna be at the boom because
Mhm.
more technology is gonna flourish,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, so but the job will not be solely focused on the coding skills. It
Mhm.
will require you to
Mhm.
use AI. It will require you to have good communication skills, because I think the uh, developer to developer interactions will increase in future, because I think the teams will become smaller
Mhm.
eventually with
Mhm.
the AI. Okay,
Mhm.
so I mean software engineering is not going anywhere, but
Mhm.
the way we implement it, it will change.
Mhm.
You will
I
always require people.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is that I've seen this like if you like as people use Android Studio itself, like there's Gemini connected to it and it just automatically suggests the code. Half of the time the code is wrong, but it suggests it, and it's kind of a boost in your um
Activity.
productivity. Yeah,
Mm.
but it's not as if you're getting replaced. Gemini is writing itself. It does not understand the product as we do,
Mm.
and the logic behind is that people will still need developers. And I'm actually more positive around app industry more because I've seen that it's a real estate
Yeah.
in your day-to-day life. You can open up web, but web requires a step to open up, because you have to go to Google Chrome or Safari, then search something. You have to know the URL. You
Yeah.
have to be marketed that thing. But in place of apps, if you all have already installed the app, it's done. It's a real estate in your home screen, and you might open up until unless you uninstall it. You will open up that app and try to use it, because it's solving a particular problem, a pain point. And if it's a good app, it's a worthwhile app. And I think so that's how the trend is going on right now, because I've seen that in case of Zomato, in case of Blinkit, in case of Swiggy, and other apps as well. Let's take an example of UPI. UPI didn't exist like 5 years
Yeah.
from now, but now it does, and it becomes much more. It has become much more better, and an important part into our lives before. And I think there's more to come, because I've
I agree.
seen I've seen that the economics of how the app industry is working itself is just 2 to 3% of the 8 billion people we are right now. What if we were like investing 8 billion of whatever we are doing into this app industry, which
Yeah.
is a very real estate? And I think that will be super interesting to see in the future. And I'm very I'm looking forward to things and how SaaS is going to be in the future. But yeah, that's my take as well. Yeah, but
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
yeah, so like I've seen your profile as well on LinkedIn and stuff. You have done a lot of stuff from React Native, Flutter, Android. Like your role is, I think so, Devx engineer, right?
Yes.
So, as an DevX engineer, I think so it involves more of DevOps as well as mobile engineering. Like,
Yes.
what's your role about? And if somebody wants to get into DevX as such,
Okay.
understand like CI/CD pipelines,
Mm.
and because I sense that CI/CD pipelines is difficult to understand until unless you have your own app to actually release. You cannot write GitHub actions. You need
Yeah.
to understand. You have to have some kind of app to get there. So, do you have any advice to
Yeah.
someone who wants to get into this particular industry sector?
Particular industry. Okay. So first of all, you have done your deep research on me.
Mm,
Okay. So it's good. So I would like to tell about the developer experience role, what it
mhm,
is.
mhm,
Okay. So and I'll tell you how I transition into that.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll start with that.
Mhm.
So in my last company, I used to work like as a developer. I used to work on building applications from scratch for different clients. Okay,
Mhm.
then I came into Gojek, in which I
Mhm.
work right now.
Mhm.
Okay, and so as a mobile developer, what are your day-to-day tasks? I think even
Mhm.
if I ask you, mostly
Mhm.
will be around building the good UI, talking with the
Mhm.
UI UX team,
Mhm.
giving feedbacks, calling the
Mhm.
APIs, setting
Mhm.
the routes, notifications, things like that. What happens in the mobile development? Okay,
Mhm.
but there's another part of the mobile development.
Mhm.
Okay, which I found to be more interesting than
Mhm.
this,
Mhm.
because I was building UIs and all these things from 3 years.
Mhm.
Then I think, yeah, I should do a shift.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's like you mentioned, right? You are all into the mobile app world.
Yeah.
Same
Mhm.
for me. So I want to see all of its faces,
Mhm.
not just the UI part, or
Mhm.
maybe making a sample demo app. Not just like that. Okay.
Mhm.
So I was kind of doing Flutter
Mhm.
uh, combined with the iOS.
Mhm.
So in our organization, we started to build an app called GoPay. It's live on the Play Store right now. It's
Mhm.
for Indonesia. Okay,
Mhm.
there's a lot of user base.
Mhm.
So I somehow came into its platform team as
Mhm.
a developer experience engineer.
Mhm.
Okay, and here I really enjoyed my work.
Mhm.
So my work does, first of all, the good thing in my work is that it's not timeline based.
Mhm.
Okay, since we don't work on the features, I
Mhm.
don't work on the feature as a developer
Mhm.
experience. So my core areas of work includes maintaining the pipelines, building the pipelines,
Mhm.
okay, optimizing the pipelines, app size,
Mhm.
doing research on the app size,
Mhm.
how we can improve it,
Mhm.
okay, app launch time, how we can improve it,
Mhm.
how competitors are doing it in the market, app
Mhm.
security also, what
Mhm.
all third party SDKs we are integrated in,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, to not let the hackers go into our application, because ours is a fintech one, okay, and it
Mhm.
comes with its own set of uh, technical problems and vulnerabilities.
Mhm.
Uh, the other part is also we are focused on all of the other feature teams. For example, there are 5 to 7 feature teams. Okay,
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
sit at the core of it.
Mhm.
Okay, so in the front end, usually there is no such a thing called support engineer, right? It
Mhm.
is usually for the backend people. But for a developer experience engineer, right,
Mhm.
you need to be on the support as well. So
Mhm.
we have the support for the front end guys, and we also are responsible, being the platform team,
Mhm.
responsible for building all the core features of our application,
Mhm.
which none of the feature team owns. For example, all the core components like notifications, navigation, routing, analytics, third party integrations like Firebase, AppsFlyer,
Mhm.
okay, uh, other feedbacking mechanisms. Also, we are focused on building the developer tools in the
Mhm.
application itself. Okay,
Mhm.
we are always searching about how we can save the developer time.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
eventually it will save all of the your pods and teams time, and
Mhm.
it will boost the productivity. Okay,
Mhm.
so we built a lot of developer tools internally. I'll
Mhm.
give example. For example, seeing the API calls in the app itself, seeing the analytics for the app itself, making a dummy platform for all the remote configs in the app itself, things like these. And the other aspect also includes, uh, so being the platform team, we also assist the release team, the release QA team, who release the applications to the Play Store and the App Store. So
Mhm.
we define all the processes for them. We
Mhm.
write all the this licensing, code signing, certificates,
Mhm.
uh, these level things for that. So it's
Mhm.
pretty amazing, right?
Mhm.
Every task is different.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know what the next task can be.
Mhm.
It it may be related to the native iOS, may be related to the Flutter,
Mhm.
or maybe relating to developing some tooling, or maybe just about research work in
Mhm.
form that we need to reduce the app size. Let's do some
Mhm.
research. Okay. So we really are digging onto very core platform level things. Okay, to extract out the results, because in our team tasks are like not defined. We do the research, then we create the tasks, then we do the technical implementation of this. So for example, coming on to, and we do a lot of scripts. I write a lot of scripts. Okay, bash scripts, dart scripts, uh, scripts in Ruby. Okay, for our internal processes, and we are also looking at how we are automating things inside infrastructure so that things can be more smooth. So I mean, so my role is like I told you, not restricted to one company only. So it requires a lot of collaboration with different teams and lot of technical work as well. Yeah, it's quite good. I'm I think so. Yeah, for example, let's suppose for last 1.5 years, I haven't even written a single UI or widget code, and I'm a mobile engineer. So you can relate, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
work really platform level things,
Right.
and role doesn't even exist for companies which have maybe just started up or are in the mid level of their journey. You will Devx role in all the big companies in the applications who are really big and who have scaled up. So it's really cool. I enjoy.
I think it's mostly that I've seen that mostly DevX engineers are like in and out of finance industry,
Yeah,
finance apps, because they're the most ethically prone,
yeah,
hacking prone apps as
yeah,
compared to others like simple utility apps.
yeah, yeah.
So that's where the Devx role really shines, and it's really interesting to see that you don't actually work on deadlines, because as developers we tend to um, get focused on product and features, because product managers always focus on some kind of feature and say, oh yeah, you need to release this within like 2 weeks, and you have to just go through the process of making the UI, connecting everything, and getting the API from the backend, connecting everything. So the role of the role of DevX is like really interesting to me, and CI/CD also seems very interesting. Um, like as you said, um, about CI/CD, and yeah, your tasks are actually different for every day. That's what I get. So like when it comes to CI/CD overall, when you're looking at let's just say have no idea how to develop a CI/CD for my app, right? I might be just an app developer, right?
Yeah.
An Android developer. Let's take an example. I want to get into CI/CD, understand CI/CD, understand the role of a mobile DevOps engineer, right?
Mhm.
What are some of the basic things that I should be clear about before getting
Okay.
into this role?
So first of all, you should be clear about the mobile app development lifecycle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to get into this role, you should be knowing how developer works on a mobile application, their
Mm-hmm.
development life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as well as how all the release, build, and infrastructure level things works for your application. For example, if you have a application in, let's suppose, Flutter,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So you must be knowing all the steps
Mm-hmm.
before we build a stable pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
And the steps shouldn't only include making the builds of the application, because that's what a lot of people think happens in the CI/CD pipeline. But you need to make sure that you have a different stage for tests, you have a different stage for your code style checks, you have
Mm-hmm.
a different stage for your checking the artifact size from your target branch.
Mm-hmm.
You have a different stage for announcing it to the teams, where
Mm-hmm.
you are integrating your GitLab
Mm-hmm.
or whatever platform your CI/CD is to
Mm-hmm.
your maybe Slack,
Mm-hmm.
things like these. Okay, so you need to understand the whole perspective. You need
Mm-hmm.
to take into account
Mm-hmm.
how the pain points of the other developers who are working on the features.
Mm-hmm.
Then you craft, okay, you craft this beautiful thing
Mm-hmm.
called CD for mobile, okay,
Mm-hmm.
which starts from very basic thing, analyzing your code, then
Mm-hmm.
you run. tests, then the builds happen, then the
Mm.
artifact size changes, then
Mm.
if everything goes good, you announce it to the channels.
Mm.
Okay, so it kind of gives a visibility to the manual process what you have been following,
Mm.
okay, before
Mm.
the CICD. And you actually have this standard now where
Mm.
all the teams, all the developers need to fit in,
Mhm.
or kind of a rule maker, a policy maker
Mhm.
for your app development stuff, whatever
Mhm.
goes in the organization. And then again, the process keeps on improving on itself as you
Mhm.
get feedback, more requirements. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then other things comes in, for example, reducing the job size, things
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
So if any mobile engineer, right, wants to come into this,
Mhm.
so I would say try to focus more on the platform level things as well. If
Mhm.
you are in React Native, right, so just try
Mhm.
to learn how React Native renders behind the scene,
Mhm.
how Flutter renders things behind the
Mhm.
scene,
Mhm.
okay, how its core platform is built, what
Mhm.
was the methodology behind it,
Mhm.
along with this DevOps concepts.
Mhm.
And developer tooling is really important,
Mhm.
because as a Devx engineer, right, you build
Mhm.
developer tools. So I'll give you an example. So for example, let's suppose you are debugging something,
Mhm.
API, let's suppose. So a lot of people, what they do is, they run the application, they run the part of the code
Mhm.
that needs to be tested, and then they gather the output from print or maybe job log statements from the
Mhm.
console.
Mhm.
Right? So this includes a lot of time. So what we did in our app, we created a separate screen
Mhm.
where all of the APIs were visible along with their result, along with their response, and we also have a share button to that also, so
Mhm.
that whenever you are running the app, you just come to that screen inside the application. You will
Mhm.
see all the list of all the APIs that has
Mhm.
been hit along with its data,
Mhm.
and you can open it anytime, and you can just click on the share button and you can just share it to the QA or
Mhm.
product manager.
Mhm.
So this is how saving time. This is one developer tool.
Mhm.
We have kind of a lot of developer tools on which
Mhm.
I worked and shipped.
Mhm.
So these are the things what needs to be kept in the mind.
Super interesting stuff. The one thing that I got really excited about when I heard about developer tools is that you were typing not a lot of Dart, not a lot of Kotlin, but rather much more backend kind of languages. Might be Ruby, might be Golang, something like that. So, like when it comes to developer tools overall, how do you even get started into making these particular tools? Because
Okay.
there is no walkthrough or any kind of YouTube tutorial to help
Yeah.
me make a developer tool itself. It's a
Yeah.
particular problem for a particular company that is being solved, that one particular tool. How do you get started and how do you learn this stuff? Do you have any idea?
So some things are like really basic,
Mm-hmm.
okay, which needs to be there. For example, like I showed you the
Mm-hmm.
network observability dashboard, right? It
Mm-hmm.
should be a part of your application.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, Other than that, analytics.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my friends who are into app development, they while debugging the analytics features, they just copy paste the name of the analytic, then do it on the console, right? How much time
Mm-hmm.
it took,
Mm-hmm.
has it even triggered or not. So
Mm-hmm.
you need that, okay. And the idea is that generalize things. Just
Mm-hmm.
see what all things are repetitive,
Mm-hmm.
what things your time is getting consumed other than the core development.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick up those things, those data,
Mm-hmm.
and you see, okay, can I make a solution of this?
Mm-hmm.
Can I automate this stuff? Can I
Mm-hmm.
maybe make a tool where all
Mm-hmm.
these things are visible automatically,
Mhm.
and the developer doesn't has to dig deep down into the console every time.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so this is how you get started, and eventually the problems starts coming to you again
Mhm.
and again. Okay,
Mhm.
for example, in my app, right, so we kind of mostly use Firebase
Mhm.
for setting up our remote configs. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
every time somebody has to test on the remote config, he has to go to the Firebase dashboard, toggle it on, off, like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
eventually, if let's suppose 10 developers are working on the same thing,
Mhm.
it might affect their development routine as well, because
Mhm.
remote config is central and you can't just play onto the dashboard creating new things.
Mhm.
So we created a remote config spoofer
Mhm.
into our application,
Mhm.
which fetches all the remote config from the Firebase.
Mhm.
But it set up its own DB cache in the mobile
Mhm.
application.
Mhm.
So a user can go into the developer tool page. He can go into this remote config spoofer. He
Mhm.
can uh, toggle it from
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
And once that feature is on, all
Mhm.
your remote config APIs are coming from the local data, not from the
Mhm.
Firebase.
Mhm.
So at that you are saving time, right?
Mhm.
Not going to the dashboard
Mhm.
and do things again and again.
Mhm.
Likewise, for the release process, we have a
Mhm.
lot of things which we automated. Okay,
Mhm.
so yeah, it like so that's those are the things, right? Identify, generalize,
Mhm.
and then craft a solution, and
Mhm.
so taking the feedback from the other
Mhm.
people that how this thing will impact you.
Mhm.
This thing can save your time. What
Mhm.
add this feature will this be helpful to you as a
Mhm.
developer? So
Mhm.
those are the things which you need to see.
Mhm. Super interesting stuff, because I mean, as you said, like, you can make a particular screen to identify what are the API calls that are going right now and what API calls did end, what is the particular response on a one particular screen, and observe all of the things that are being held. And it will, you don't have to do any timber or log statements through the console and try to see what's the problem in your app. That's a brilliant solution in itself. And yeah, this seems like a super interesting role to have, and it kind of opened up to a lot of new things, because I've seen that a lot of people are talking about web development, web3 development, and a lot of
Mhm.
people are just talking about Android. They're not talking about an intersection of these particular problems,
Yeah,
because you become a DevOps plus a mobile engineer, now you're a Devx engineer.
yeah,
So there are a lot of roles like these in into the industry that we are not aware about, and they are the merger of these a lot of different skills, and that's the beauty about these things. Yeah. Have you used like a native like Android or stuff like that, or have you just played around with Flutter or React Native?
okay. So I studied iOS
Mm-hmm.
native, right?
Mm-hmm.
On my own, and then I am working on the tasks
Mm-hmm.
in my organization on the native iOS.
Mm-hmm.
Because our app is in Flutter right now on the
Mm-hmm.
product on which I'm working. Uh, the tasks are mostly like I told you, right? My
Mm-hmm.
tasks are very multidimensional. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I get the iOS stuff, sometimes I get the Flutter stuff,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I get to work on the Ruby as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like that. But even if in the iOS I'm working, it will not be the UI for sure. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it will, either be let's dissect the size of our IPA which
Mm-hmm.
got built. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and see its code size distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So recently I built a tool. What it does, it will extract all the things out of your IPA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it will categorize them
Mm-hmm.
based on plugins, frameworks,
Mm-hmm.
app bundles,
Mm-hmm.
assets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it will create a table, and then we will map it to who owns which framework,
Mm-hmm.
who are different teams in our product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that after an IPA is built, we
Mm-hmm.
can have a metric around how much size of
Mm-hmm.
code is being owned by which team,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can have a cap on each team that you are allowed this much MBs only to
Mm-hmm.
include in our IPA or the APK.
Mm-hmm.
So task is like that, where you have to study, how an IPA is built, how an
Mm-hmm.
APK is built, what
Mm-hmm.
are the internal, how the machine code is being compiled.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean the
Mm-hmm.
tasks are like that, not like
Mm-hmm.
the UIs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get to learn. So I do a native
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
uh, thing.
Super interesting class, because I've seen that you get people like Android developers used to get a lot of like bored when they are just making XML UIs over time. They People as developers like to write a lot of logic as compared to just making UIs.
Yeah,
Maybe that UI designers will like more UI as compared to coding as such, but developers enjoy writing logic, connecting things, making the architecture. And yeah, I think so that introduces a lot of things. When you're a Devx engineer, you have to go through a lot of different things to understand how things connect and make sure everything is working. I think
Yeah,
the idea of having different distributions of
yeah,
how particular an app can be divided into different segments, and that
yeah,
segment is being divided into different teams, seems like a
yeah,
brilliant idea in itself.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the good thing is also that, right? We like you likewise you mentioned the architecting the app, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, all the feature teams, they are only focused on their particular module.
Mm-hmm.
We are the one who create all the architecture in the application for
Mm-hmm.
so that they can have a very good space for their module.
Mm-hmm.
We are the one who works on the core features like dependency injection,
Mm-hmm.
provide the network client to all the
Mm-hmm.
modules.
Mm-hmm.
So then the work of the other feature teams is just to consume it
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
If they're calling any analytics service, right? A lot of things
Mm-hmm.
are happening. We have analytic, then we have 3 to 4 vendors to it: Firebase, Google, Flyer, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they just need to call the function. They do not know
Yeah.
what's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So architecting is also a good part because I've been into like 4 or 5 years into my career now, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought the architecting part would have come later into my career, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
uh, my friends are also working. Nobody's like working on the architecting that,
Mm-hmm.
but I get to work on that also.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
You building a application of that scale and you go to architect it.
Mm-hmm. I think it introduces a lot of abstraction as well. When you get to work in big companies like Gojek, you have a lot of abstraction. If you're working just like on building UIs or particular feature, you have a lot of abstraction. You might not understand how things are playing out on the architecture level or how CI/CD is playing out. But I think so. If you are in a very small company, in a startup, I think so it will become a very good advantage to you, because now you understand how big companies play. Now you can go and experiment with it in your actual product app that is released between 1 to 2 million downloads and people, and actually make your own CI/CD pipeline. Ask your team lead, okay, I want to make a CI/CD pipeline. I want to optimize this particular thing. You have a lot of thing to experiment with,
Yeah.
and I think so. That's a very good experimental array for anyone who wants to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the reverse is also the same. For example, uh, I came to Gojek from a service-based company
Mm-hmm.
where I worked on the project where team was like really small.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be the front-end guy and the back-end as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of projects I did where I was the only
Mm-hmm.
developer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I used to kind of since I was the single guy, I used to
Mm-hmm.
like own the product, right? I knew
Mm-hmm.
the ins and outs, and there I get to experiment a lot other than the
Mm-hmm.
UI and things as well.
Mhm, mhm,
So I set up the pipeline for them and things
mhm,
like that. And
mhm,
that experience, helped me and carry forward it to my journey today as well.
mhm,
Because my mind become experimentative.
mhm,
Uh, I couldn't work under kind of
mhm,
some constraint or
mhm,
some kind of rules.
mhm,
So even in my last organization, I experimented a lot. I made
mhm,
things happen,
mhm,
and luckily, I go to into a role which demands just right that.
mhm,
I was like really lucky.
mhm,
And it has been like really good. Yeah.
mhm, mhm. I get it. Like, as you said, that your role involves a lot of stuff that is not usually present in the Android development or maybe app development in general. What do you think about understanding backend as a developer? Because I've seen that backend is very tough to understand when you're just starting out. If you're
Okay.
an app developer right now and want to understand backend, want to understand maybe DevOps as well,
Mhm.
what's the starting point? What do you think will be the starting point I should go for and get started into backend?
Okay. By backend, you means like real backend, right?
Yeah, yeah, real
API.
backend APIs and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it differs. I have worked on the backend in my last organization for 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I told you, I was building the UI as well as the backend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there the things used to be, because the project was like very small. Things used to be very smooth. We used to write the APIs. I just used to ship the code to the production, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But the place where I'm working now in the Gojek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Backend infrastructure is like huge,
Mm-hmm.
huge. A lot of microservices are there, internal tools and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and likewise you mentioned, right, that what to do if you have to move to the backend as a front end guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you, a lot of my friends in the Gojek only,
Mm-hmm.
they moved from front end to the backend recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I interacted with them, like, what was your thought process behind this transition,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, how did you get into this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so first of all, you have to furbish your skills.
Mm-hmm.
If you are if you have done a little bit of development in the backend, right, try to go more deeper into it. Try to learn different languages, because usually in a very big company, backend is not just about one framework.
Mm-hmm.
There are different services, and each service is written into different language
Mm-hmm.
based on the purpose it serves.
Mm-hmm.
So try to learn about Go, try to learn about Node.js, try to
Mm-hmm.
learn about Go,
Mm-hmm.
Python, right?
Mm-hmm.
So things will become easier, and try to. So the best source of learning is try to learn about the system design of
Mm-hmm.
the backend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, uh, not from some course or other things I would suggest, because
Mm-hmm.
it gives you a very generic idea, but
Mm-hmm.
rather go into the technical writings and blogs of different companies like
Mm-hmm.
Uber,
Mm-hmm.
Hashnode, LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those will actually give you a real idea about how things are happening behind the scenes. What
Mm-hmm.
are the problems people face day to day?
Mm-hmm.
And one more suggestion I would like to tell, which would fit like uh, all of the learnings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just before starting to learn, okay, just try to know what you want to learn. Because if you talk about the backend again, backend is a huge ocean of things.
Mm-hmm.
So you do not know where to start, where to end,
Mm-hmm.
what to leave also. You can't just learn the whole things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time. You
Mm-hmm.
need to pick up the things which should be most relevant to you, which are in
Mm-hmm.
the market,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and which tests your current skills and which
Mm-hmm.
upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so define all of the topics into categories.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, these n number of topics comes into the basic starter ideas. Other one comes to the intermediate level,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm worried about how the services talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the other category will be about the hosting only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the other thing will be about the you know how we are doing this subnetting things on the network area
Mm-hmm.
side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maybe the fifth thing could be to how to load balance the
Mm-hmm.
server. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So try to div- make these micro niches,
Mm-hmm.
and then try to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, the folks who I know who transitioned to backend,
Mm-hmm.
they did the same. They had a little bit of experience in the backend. They
Mm-hmm.
focused their skills, and like in the organization, they started to read all the technical documentations,
Mm-hmm.
the RFCs, all the RCAs,
Mm-hmm.
which were there. Eventually, they get to know about the product and about the backend infrastructure in the organization, and then coding can easily happen.
Mm-hmm.
Coding is not a like very big thing.
Mm-hmm.
The most thing which which is major is you know the idea, right? How things are working in a generic sense, how things are talking to each other, connecting to each other. What purpose does a particular part of this system design solves? So
Mm-hmm.
it matters a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Written by AI also.
Mm-hmm.
So those things matter. So this is how you transition to the backend.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing what I've got from your advice,
Mhm.
that what you got to do is do two things. Find intersection of your work and
Yeah,
something that you want to learn, and try to understand how these two connect,
yeah,
because you might be working on the UI. Try to understand what your current team is working. on and try to understand how the things get laid out from your team, from that team to your team. If you can understand the basics of it, just the theory part of it, it might give you kind of a roadmap into doing
Yeah.
things that you want to learn. Another thing that I picked up was that if you want to learn about backend as such, do not go haphazardly and start coding random APIs and Spring Boot stuff. Go and start learning about how things are working in the industry itself. Try
Yes.
to look at different industries, like might be Swiggy, might be Zomato. Look at
Yeah.
their tech stack as all, and
Yes.
try to see what they're using microservices. Why are they using microservices? Are they using AWS? Why they are using AWS? So there are different services that have different meanings and different costs to the business as well as on the development side. So if you could understand why they are using a certain thing, it might be it might actually help you boost your learning curve in the backend. That's what I can get.
Yeah, I
um,
mean, most of these big companies have their, technical writings and blogs published on
mhm,
their website. So
mhm,
those are like a really good stuff to know. Even about this
mhm,
Devx thing, right? Mobile app tooling.
mhm,
Uber, Spotify has some like really amazing
mhm,
products on that, and
mhm,
they do publish it online
mhm,
in their blogs.
mhm. Get it, I get it. Have you do you have any particular your own app released in the public, like on Play Store somewhere, or are you planning to release one?
Not as of now. So
Mm,
from starting of my journey, right,
mhm,
I worked on only the client products and the product on which I'm working now.
mhm,
So I consulted a lot of applications in
mhm,
my as kind of a side gig,
mhm,
but I never like got any idea to
mhm,
release some
mhm,
application on Play Store. Yeah,
mhm.
but I
Yeah.
helped a lot of people do that.
Mhm,
Worked with the MVP for startups as well.
Interesting stuff. I think like Bangalore is known for its startup culture, and
Yeah.
a lot of people there are, of course, startup owners. So consulting becomes a means there. So
Yeah.
makes sense. um these were all the questions from like the technical side that I had, and other than that I kind of will go on a tangent here, talk about personal finances as such.
Okay.
Like what do you whenever your salary comes, like I think so it was previously the end of the day, end of the month, I think. Whenever your salary comes, how do you divide it in general, like
Okay.
this much is my rent, this much is what I pay for my EMIs, this much goes into investing, this much goes back home. What is the division of things?
Okay. So right now, the first division would be the investing stuff.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
So I came into investing late. I only started investing last year only.
mm,
Before that, I was like only spending and just having the amount, maybe getting it FD'd. Okay.
mm, mm,
So from just last year onwards, I got into the SIPs.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
My father is really into the stocks.
mm,
After his retirement, he's doing the stock trading full time.
mm,
So he gives me valuable insights into what stocks
mm,
to invest. So
mm,
he's kind of my portfolio manager.
mm,
So uh, so yeah, the division goes into maybe 25% into the SIPs,
mm,
25% into the stocks.
mm,
Okay, and that again, since I live in Bangalore, right, I have to pay my rent.
mm,
Couple of vehicles here.
mm,
Okay, so 10 to 15% goes in that as well.
mm,
Other than that, I have my personal uh,
mm,
areas of expenditure as well.
mm,
Day things.
mm,
Other than that, and the others got saved. So this is how like I'm balancing my finances right now.
mm,
And that, I would advise everybody to have a insurance as well, term life
mm,
insurance.
mm,
Because otherwise, the rates would become low as you age.
mm,
This is how to save proof yourself.
mm,
Uh, yeah, coming on to finances, like one more thing which I would like to advise:
mm,
don't focus too much on saving.
mm,
Okay,
mm,
so these days a lot of these ads comes up on
mm,
social media and everything that
mm,
save everything so that you can enjoy later. But
mm,
I the life really is in the present. You do not know about the future.
Mhm.
So save what you can save, okay,
Mhm.
as a generic thing in
Mhm.
your teas,
Mhm.
stocks,
Mhm.
other other things.
Mhm.
But have some capability to spend on yourself also, your leisure activities,
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
traveling, buying
Yeah.
things you love. Okay,
Mhm.
so
That's
yeah,
that's what I call like guilt-free spending. Do not have a
yeah,
guilt about just and spend this particular section, and make sure that that thing doesn't overdo everything else, but have a particular part, like 10% of whatever your salary is, 10-20%, whatever your part is, whatever you
yeah,
decide. uh, Make sure that you can spend it in your guilt free. If it gets saved, okay. If it doesn't get saved, go out and actually spend it, because if you don't spend it, it might eventually take you to burnout or something like that. So
yeah,
might be rather helpful to you if you actually spend that amount that you have. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Other than that, when it comes to investing, you have a very nice division of how different things get um, fulfilled, and that's the great thing. Other than that, like in personal finances as such, like as you talked about stock and SIPs, what are you particularly interested or investing in right now?
Okay. So in the SIPs, the amount which I am investing right now,
Hmm.
I have I'm investing it into like four SIPs in particular.
Hmm.
One goes to the large cap equity, mid cap, small
Hmm.
cap, and
Hmm.
other are the bonds. Okay.
Hmm.
So this is how I am managing
Hmm.
uh, SIPs, and the plan is to every year if your salary improves or your
Hmm.
finances gets an add-on,
Hmm.
start an SIP.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So that is the plan. And coming on to the stocks
Hmm.
side, uh,
Hmm.
so a lot of my investments are into the stocks which are really, really, fundamentally strong,
Hmm.
and which are giving like returns every year without
Hmm.
very, risk oriented nature.
Hmm.
And other stocks on which I'm investing are more into, uh, you know, who has a future, right? Like this uh, semiconductor industry, EV
Hmm.
industry,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, industry, things like that.
Hmm.
And the industries which are never going to fade away. So
Hmm.
you have a balance of both of these areas. You are taking a risk at a level which if even if it fails, I won't mind.
Hmm.
Like you are investing into things which are fundamentally strong,
Hmm.
which makes you a sense of gives you a sense of security.
Hmm. Get it.
Okay, this is how I'm doing. And also
Hmm.
one part of my salary also goes into donation. I
Hmm.
am part of an NGO back into my hometown.
Hmm.
Uh, so I make sure I'm helping them in the ways I can.
Hmm.
Like this is how like my vision is to invest right
Hmm.
now. Also, uh, the why I have become like kind of more of a stable and like safe investor,
Hmm.
because last year I
Hmm.
invested in crypto.
Hmm.
Uh, I invested in crypto a lot, and you
Hmm.
know how things have been in last
Hmm.
couple.
Hmm.
I still have the holdings, but things weren't good with them.
Hmm.
So I think it's better for one industry to settle down
Hmm.
in the country, in the global market, and then
Hmm.
you invest in it.
Hmm.
Because crypto came up with this liberal idea of no banking stuff, right?
Hmm.
It's like a global for everybody, no middleman in between. But
Hmm.
as in India, sanctions came up.
Hmm.
So do not go with these quick money things.
Hmm.
If you want to be happy and
Hmm.
save. Other than that, if you are able to make money somehow
Hmm.
quick,
Hmm.
that's also good.
Hmm.
But thing will be to be on the safer side with
Hmm.
some medium risk
Hmm.
take actions.
Mm-hmm. I get it. It's again like everything is fair in love and war. So you can,
Yeah,
if you get a lot of money from crypto and NFTs, whatever you're doing,
mm,
sure, good enough, good play, fair. But if you cannot, it's very hard to take a risk there,
Yeah,
because if you do not understand how crypto NFTs work, that's a very big industry in itself,
exactly.
and people are there out there to eat you. So yeah, you need to be
Try to
sure
like
about
have
it.
try to have if you want to like take risk, this
Mm,
is what I follow.
mm,
So I keep a particular amount. Okay, even if
mm,
I, let's suppose I want to bet on a stock which I know
mm,
go either here or here, right?
mm, mm,
And if I want to take a trade on this, okay,
mm, mm,
so I decide amount which I know even if I lose it,
mm,
I will be okay with that.
mm, mm,
So that's how you take the
mm,
risk.
mm,
It will hurt you at the end of the day.
mm,
You don't give this power to money
mm.
or
Again,
other things.
again, it comes to like you're investing things into the market, the money that you're willing to actually lose, and that's how the basics of investings work. That's what I can get. If you are like, if you want to invest your savings, you rather not invest into index funds or such, much rather go into bonds or arbitrage fund.
Yeah,
Have a very good leeway around 6, 7, 8 months of
yeah,
like savings for yourselves. If you want that, you can go this route, or if you want more sustainable route, go for FDs. That's the easiest path. But if you
yeah,
want, if you're willing to lose, take a risk. The easiest take a risk is index funds, of course.
yeah.
The others as well. But yeah, do you have any particular way to find screen particular stocks? Do you have anything that you follow?
So I've been trying to learn about the market and the fundamentals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so mostly uh, like studying about the fundamentals, right? I see basically what things are going into the market,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what the trends are.
Mm-hmm.
So I do not do a lot of research. I
Mm-hmm.
would say transparently.
Mm-hmm.
My father, he does the stocks full time, so
Mm-hmm.
I take his advice. He tells me you have
Mm-hmm.
to buy this. I buy that. I do not answer or question why is that,
Mm-hmm.
and things every time have came out to be good for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
like really chill on that side. I do not
Mm-hmm.
take very much stress
Mm-hmm.
on those
Yeah.
things.
It's very hard to study stocks itself, because it becomes a full-time job as well, because stocks are very difficult to foresee what their companies are doing. You're not part of the company, and you become an investor that is willing to bet their money into something that might not work out in the future.
Yeah,
So stocks are difficult stuff. The easiest way to spend is mutual funds and stuff like that.
yeah,
And yeah, of course, life have a life insurance, of course have a good health insurance. This is the basic stuff that you must have no matter what you do. And yeah, these were all the questions from my side. If you have any parting advice for anyone who's watching, or for me as well, that would be great.
I think advice from my side would be stay happy. Okay, find things which you love.
Mm-hmm.
Also, at the same time, try to make your focus. These days, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
distractions are coming up because of the social media, because of the LinkedIn, because of the other things. Stay focused on your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, stay focused on your routine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, don't try to have so much of extra knowledge from
Mm-hmm.
the other sources. You
Mm-hmm.
can't learn everything, but learn a thing, learn a single thing, make it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Have good goals, take good care of your health.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take care of your friends, family, and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That matters the most.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and yeah, travel a lot. Travel a
Yeah,
lot.
enjoy yourself.
Perspective.
Yeah, yeah, 100% I agree with you. That was interesting. Again, thank you for coming in and giving your advice. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, same man. The conversation was like really nice, and it was really nice to have with someone, right, who's
Hmm.
into the from technical perspective apps itself, right.
Hmm.
So you are able to get what I'm trying to say, and
That's
even
exactly what I'm trying to do.
even I am comfortable telling things to you because I know the other guys uh, understanding what I'm saying. Okay,
Hmm.
it was really great. I hope you best of luck for your podcast and all the
Hmm.
you know initiatives which you do for your life in your future.
Hmm. Mhm.
and keep growing. I think it's your time to shine.
Mhm.
Shine.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you a lot.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed the intersection between DevOps and mobile engineering and it was something interesting to you. And if you did enjoy, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.